They don't miss you because you were kind. They don't miss you because you were present. They miss you because they feel your absence. But most people don't give space. They give more. They chase, they explain, they try to prove their worth, remembering, and every time they do, they become easier to forget. Here's the Stoic truth. You're not supposed to convince anyone to miss you. You're supposed to become someone whose presence is rare, because your self-respect is real. So, let me ask you, what if the real problem isn't that they forgot you, but that you kept showing up before they ever had the chance? Stay with me, because in this video you'll learn 10 Stoic rules that make your presence stronger by learning how to value your absence. Let's begin. This isn't about manipulation or games or texting strategies. This is about energy, because the truth is, you don't attract people by reaching for them. You attract them by being so rooted, so self-led, so clear, that your absence becomes louder than most people's constant presence. And the Stoics mastered this. They didn't chase approval. They didn't over-explain. They didn't beg to be remembered. They just lived so fully, so wisely, so powerfully, that even their silence made an impact. So today, I'll walk you through 10 Stoic shifts that make people feel your presence more by needing it less. And if you stay till the end, I'll give you the one reflection that rewires how you show up in every relationship. Let's get into it. Helena didn't beg. She didn't double text. She didn't post stories to get attention. But Lucas couldn't stop thinking about her. Why? Because she wasn't chasing him. She was chasing herself, her goals, her clarity, her joy, her peace. At first, Lucas thought he had space. But over time, that space started to feel like a loss. Because when someone shows up with presence, intention, and truth, their absence creates an echo, and Lucas couldn't unhear it. Helena didn't do this to make him miss her. She just stopped doing what made her miss herself, and that's what made her unforgettable. Just like Helena, you don't need to prove anything. You just need to stop proving everything. Because sometimes the loudest reminder of your worth is your silence, wrapped in self-respect. Shift number 1. Stop being always available. You reply fast. You cancel your plans. You're always around, just in case they want to talk, because part of you thinks being easy to reach makes you harder to lose. But here's the paradox. The more accessible you are, the less people value your presence, because scarcity creates meaning, not games, not absence as a trick, but natural, healthy boundaries. The Stoics didn't make themselves small to fit someone's attention span. They lived intentionally, with clarity on what deserved their energy. Be selective with your time. Attention is a currency. Don't give it where it's not honored. A Stoic paraphrase. Here's your shift. Stop giving 24/7 access to people who haven't earned it. Start treating your time as something sacred. Try this. Pause before replying. Schedule your response windows. Let space be normal, not threatening. And remind yourself, I'm not being rude, I'm being rooted. Because mystery isn't built through silence, it's built through intentional presence and unapologetic space. Always available means easily forgotten. Step back so your energy can speak louder. Shift number 2. Stop trying to fix their silence. They go quiet. And you panic. Did I say something wrong? Should I check in again? Maybe if I explain. So you overthink. You retype. You try to make it better. But here's the hard truth. Their silence isn't yours to fill. It's theirs to own. And every time you chase it, you send a signal, my peace is on hold until you validate it. The Stoics would never hand over that kind of power. Silence is information. It doesn't always need a reply, just recognition. Stoic paraphrase. Here's your shift. Stop interpreting silence as something you caused. Start seeing it as something you can witness without fixing. Try this. When someone withdraws, don't assume, don't rush, don't chase closure, just pause and say, if they wanted to clarify, they would. My energy isn't a placeholder. Because when you stop trying to manage their behavior, you finally start managing your own. You don't need to fill the silence, you just need to stop fearing it. Shift Sucker 3. Stop hiding your standards to keep them interested, you downplay. What you need. You act chill when something feels off. You laugh things off that actually hurt because part of you believes. If you speak your truth, they might walk away. But here's the deeper damage. Every time you shrink your standards, you teach them that comfort matters more than clarity, that they can show up halfway and still keep all of you. But the Stoics didn't dilute themselves. They practiced self-respect as a boundary and a compass. Don't lower your values to maintain attention. Let your clarity filter the room. Stoic paraphrase. Here's your shift. Stop editing yourself to be easier to keep. Start standing in your values, even if it makes you harder to reach. Try this. When something doesn't sit right, say it calmly, clearly, without guilt, and remind yourself, my standards aren't demands, they're signals of how I value myself. Because if someone pulls away, when you show your real values, that's not rejection, that's revealing. Don't dim your light to keep company in the dark. Shift 4. Stop making their response your measurement. You send a message, they don't. Reply for hours, your chest tightens, your mind races, you start to doubt everything. Was I too much, too cold, too available? Because deep down, you've made their response the measure of your worth. But here's the reality. You don't control how people receive you, only how you present yourself, and tying your confidence to their mood, timing, or attention is a fast way to lose your self-peace. By peace, the Stoics didn't live for reaction. They lived for integrity. Do what is right, not for applause, but because it aligns with who you are. Marcus Aurelius, paraphrased. Here's your shift. Stop measuring the quality of your effort by the speed of their validation. Start defining your value by your intention, not their interpretation. Try this. Next time you send something vulnerable, don't check the read receipt. Don't chase closure, just whisper. I said what felt true, and that is enough. Because when you detach from outcome, you reclaim your peace. Your peace shouldn't hinge on a notification. Send it and stay whole. Shift 5. Stop confusing attention with affection. They text you at night. They watch your stories. They drop a just thinking of you out of nowhere, and suddenly you feel seen again, wanted again. But ask yourself, do they really care, or are they just curious? Because attention isn't love, it's a signal, and not all signals mean stay. When you confuse attention with affection, you start chasing crumbs and calling it a meal. The Stoics knew the danger of this. Don't be drawn in by flattery or gestures without substance. Let action, not impulse, guide your trust. Here's your shift. Stop assuming that presence means priority. Start discerning between intention and impulse. Try this. When someone shows up after being inconsistent, don't get swept. Pause. Breathe. Ask, is this consistency or is this convenience? Because real affection isn't loud once, it's steady when it matters. Attention feels good, but consistency builds trust. Don't trade one for the illusion of the other. Shift 6. Stop waiting for them to realize your value. You give space. You stay kind. You keep the door slightly open, just in case they finally get it. Finally wake up. Finally realize what they lost. But here's what hurts most. You keep waiting for someone else's recognition to activate your own. And in that waiting, you pause your life. You dilute your energy. You start living in the maybe instead of the now. The Stoics didn't wait to be seen. They walked, with or without applause. If others do not value your presence, let them miss your absence, but never delay your growth for their understanding. Here's your shift. Stop treating their realization as your reward. Start living like your worth was never up for debate. Try this. Write a message you'll never send, everything you wish they knew, then delete it and whisper, "I don't need you to see me, I see me now." Because the closure you want isn't in their realization, it's in your release. Shift. R7. Stop seeing space as rejection. They pull back. You panic. They get quiet. You question everything because to you, space feels like being pushed away. And when that feeling hits, you react, you cling, you try to close the gap fast. But here's the deeper truth. Not all distance is dismissal. Sometimes it's reflection. Sometimes it's life. Sometimes it has nothing to do with you. The Stoics didn't fear space, they used it to recenter. When others step back, step inward, their silence is not your verdict. Here's your shift. Stop filling space with fear. Start using it to deepen your center. Try this. Next time someone pulls away, don't chase. Sit, breathe, ask, what is this space giving method clinging never could? Use it to rest, to realign, to remember who you are without their feedback, because space doesn't always mean something's wrong. Sometimes space is where you grow stronger. Shift. RADIATE. Stop thinking your worth is proven through effort. You try harder. You give more. You show up again and again, even when they don't, because deep down, you believe love is earned by exhaustion. But here's what that belief costs you. You start working for connection instead of living in it. You become the overfunctioner, the fixer, the one who never asks but always offers, and slowly, you disappear. The Stoics never begged for worth. They built it from the inside out. Don't spend your strength proving what should already be known. Live aligned and let your presence speak. Here's your shift. Stop tying your value to how hard you try. Start realizing the right people don't need to be impressed. They need to feel you as you are. Try this. When you feel the urge to overgive, pause, breathe, ask, is this an offer or a proof? Then choose rest, choose center, choose dignity, because real connection isn't earned through force. It's recognized through truth. Shift. Marker 9. Stop believing closure requires a conversation. They ghosted, they faded, they ended it without a real explanation, and now you're stuck in the loop. If I could just talk to them, if they would just explain, if I had one more chance to say how I feel. But here's the hard truth. You don't want closure, you want comfort. You want to feel validated, understood, seen. One last time. But often, that conversation won't come, and if it does, it rarely gives you what you imagined. The Stoics faced this directly. What leaves without clarity still gives you information. Honor what happened, without needing it to be neat. Here's your shift. Stop holding your peace hostage to a conversation that may never happen. Start giving yourself the exit that they didn't have the courage to give you. Try this. Write the letter you'll never send. Say everything. Raw. real, unfiltered, then read it, close it and say, I don't need an answer, I'm not in the question anymore. Because closure isn't something they give. It's something you decide to claim. Shift suffered 10. Stop returning to prove you've changed. You level up, you get stronger, you gain clarity, and a part of you starts whispering, maybe now they'll see it. Maybe if I reconnect, they'll finally realize what they lost. Maybe if I just show up different, they'll treat me different. But here's the silent trap. You're not moving forward, you're just circling back for validation. You think you're proving growth, but in truth, you're performing it. You want someone, anyone, to look at you and say, wow, you've changed. But here's what real change knows. It doesn't crave witnesses, it doesn't audition for closure. It doesn't return to the old stage, wearing a new costume. Because real transformation isn't loud, isn't desperate, isn't theatrical. It's quiet, it's sacred, it's something that breathes inward first. And when you go back, hoping they'll notice, hoping they'll regret, hoping they'll miss you, you're not proving anything about your growth. You're proving you're still hungry for their gaze, still tethered to their opinion, still trying to rewrite a story that's already ended, and the truth hits hard. Returning to prove you've changed only proves you haven't. Because deep down, you're still seeking something from them. A nod, a recognition, a sign that you finally matter. But what if you don't need that? What if your healing doesn't require applause? What if your power was never supposed to be seen by them at all? Here's your shift. Stop treating your transformation like a performance that needs a spotlight. Stop treating healing like a movie that needs an audience, and start living it like something sacred, private, profound, and powerful, even when no one's watching. Try this. The next time the urge rises to message them, to revisit that place, to prove something, pause and ask yourself, am I reaching for them or trying to reassure myself? Then breathe, gently, honestly, and come back home, to your path, your space, your becoming. Because growth isn't a show. You don't need to be seen to be evolving, you just need to keep walking, quietly, boldly, forward. Your silence, when rooted, speaks louder than words. You don't need tricks, you don't need perfect timing, you don't need the right words to make someone see your worth, to make them regret, to make them miss you. What you really need is presence with yourself. Deep-rooted connection to your own energy. You need space, not the kind that's empty, but the kind that's intentional. The kind that lets you breathe again. The kind that says, I choose myself without apology. And you need stillness. The kind of stillness that doesn't flinch when someone ghosts you, pulls back, or goes quiet. The kind of stillness that trusts. Not everyone who leaves deserves a door left open. Because here's the truth, they don't. Miss what's always available. They don't long for what's constantly chasing them. They don't appreciate what never walks away. They miss what feels alive, and then is gone. Not in anger, not in spite, but with grace, with clarity, with quiet. Undeniable self-respect. And when your absence is anchored in that energy, it doesn't just linger, it echoes, it teaches, it redefines the story, not to punish, but to reveal, to show the difference between attention and love, between guilt and care, between their version of you and the you you've become. So ask yourself, which shift will you hold this week? Not to win someone back, but to finally get yourself back. Is it a boundary you've been afraid to set? A silence you've been scared to hold? A space you've been hesitating to claim? Drop it in the comments. Say it out loud. Let it be real, and if no one told you lately, Your energy doesn't need proof, it needs presence. It doesn't need to perform, it needs peace. And most of all, it doesn't need words to be heard. It just needs a boundary, a breath, and the courage to let your silence speak when words are no longer worthy. Thank you for choosing clarity over noise, power over panic, and growth over guessing. We don't evolve by being louder. We evolve by becoming clearer, calmer, more whole. I'll see you in the stillness.